The story begins in 1957 in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado near Alpine Lake. We see a youth camp where a counselor named Hope Adler is dialing a number from a landline. She talks to someone and says that she's been having strange dreams. The number she dialed was the same one she saw in her dream, written on a frozen card on the snow. In those dreams, some boys were involved. She wants to know whose number it is and who she's talking to. The person on the other side doesn't reveal anything, and suddenly a loud noise disconnects the call, terrifying Hope. The story then shifts to 1982, 4 years after the events of the previous movie. We see Finn in school, beating up a boy who had mocked him, saying Finn didn't really kill the serial killer as everyone believed. Finn's sister Gwen stops him and takes him away. She asks why he fought, and he explains everything. Gwen tells him violence isn't the answer, but Finn has changed completely. He's become more like the man he killed, the grabber. It seems like his trauma and fear have turned into anger, and he tries to suppress that fear through rage. Meanwhile, Robin's brother Ernesto, Robin was the boy killed by the grabber in the first film, invites Gwen to a show. She agrees, and Finn teases her, saying it looks like a date. She first denies it, but later admits it might be. They return home where their father, Terrence, is waiting for them. In the previous film, he was an abusive alcoholic, but now he's changed, caring and supportive, just as he promised. After saying goodnight to the kids, he goes to bed. Finn, unable to sleep, starts smoking weed. Suddenly, he sees the grabber standing in front of him, wearing his iconic mask. Though the grabber isn't really there, Finn's trauma makes him imagine him. He angrily says if the grabber touches him again, he'll rip his face off, something he had already done before. Then Gwen comes out, but she can't see anyone there. She realizes Finn is still haunted and tells him he can talk about it if he wants, but he refuses, pretending everything is fine. It's clear that Finn is still living in fear. That night, both go to sleep, and Gwen begins dreaming again, just like in the first movie. She had inherited her mother's psychic ability to see visions in dreams. In her dream, she finds herself at the same Alpine Lake youth camp from the beginning. There, a boy in a yellow jacket is being followed and brutally murdered. Before dying, the boy writes the letter W on the frozen lake and sinks beneath the ice. His spirit seems to be sending Gwen a message through her dream. In the same dream, Gwen hears a phone ringing nearby. She tries to follow the sound and starts walking out of her house in her sleep. In reality, her body also begins to move, as if she's experiencing astral projection. Finn sees her and wakes her up just in time. She tells him she heard a phone ring, but he insists there was no sound and that she might have been sleepwalking. She mentions having another strange dream, but Finn ignores it and goes back to sleep. The next day at school, Ernesto meets Gwen, who was reading a book about supernatural phenomena. He asks if she's interested in such things, and she says yes. She's fascinated by ghosts, dimensions, and everything supernatural. Ernesto gives her tickets to a show, and she's delighted. He also gives her a set of loteria cards, which are similar to tarot cards. Gwen explains that if used properly, these cards can reveal the future. Ernesto tells her he knows she can see things in her dreams, and she's surprised, asking how he knows. He says his parents told him about the Robin case, how she had told the police about her dreams, which helped them find the killer. But as we know, Finn had already killed the grabber before that. Gwen says she doesn't like talking about it because people think she's weird. Ernesto smiles and says he likes weird things. Later, in the market, Finn finds an old phone ringing. He picks it up and says, "Sorry, no help here," and hangs up. Calls like this are not new to him, but he wants to stay away from anything that reminds him of his trauma. That night, Gwen dreams again. This time she sees another boy at the same camp getting murdered brutally. His body is cut into pieces and burned. His spirit writes the letter B on the frozen lake before vanishing. Again, the phone rings, and Gwen's spirit follows the sound outside her home, where she finds the boy's burned body and sees the grabber's apartment nearby. Inside the apartment basement, she finds a ringing phone and answers it. The call is from Hope Adler, her mother. Yes, the same woman we saw in the beginning of the movie in 1957.
Hope tells Gwen she's calling from the Alpine Lake Youth Camp and that she saw the number written on the frozen lake in her dream. Gwen says she saw the same boys, but instead of numbers, she saw letters. Before they can speak more, a demonic voice interrupts and the line disconnects. It seems the timelines are somehow linked. When someone astral projects, time doesn't work normally. Suddenly, Gwen sees Max's spirit, the grabber's brother who was killed by the grabber in the last movie. Max tells her she shouldn't be here. Meanwhile, Gwen's physical body has already reached the grabber's basement during her astral projection. Finn follows her there and finds her unconscious. When she wakes up, she says she spoke to her mother. Finn, however, refuses to believe her. As they leave, Gwen notices blood on her socks, the same one she wore in her dream when she stepped near the dead boy. This means whatever happens in her dream affects her real body. The next day, Gwen shows Finn a poster of the Alpine Lake camp and says it's a real place. Her dreams are not random. It's a Christian camp, and there's an open counselor in training position. She wants to go there and investigate. Finn doesn't want to, but their father sees the poster and says that's the same camp where their mother used to work before it was shut down in 1958. Shocked, they realize something strange is going on. Gwen decides to go with Ernesto, and Finn agrees to join for her safety. Before leaving, Finn tells his father they'll be back in a few weeks and asks him not to drink too much while they're gone. The three head towards Alpine Lake. On the way, a heavy snowstorm causes an accident and visibility drops. To guide the car safely, Finn walks ahead in the snow while the others follow. After some distance, they meet a girl named Mustang who takes them to the camp. There, they meet Armando, the camp supervisor, who says the storm stopped others from arriving, so only they made it. We learn Mustang is Armando's niece, and two other staff members, Kenneth and Barbara, also work there. Later that night, Mustang shows the guests their rooms. Finn notices a phone booth outside. After Gwen falls asleep, he steps out to smoke. Meanwhile, Gwen dreams again. This time, a third boy appears, his face split in half. His spirit writes the letter H on the frozen lake. Putting the letters together, W, B, and H, forms something unknown. Suddenly, she hears strange noises, and the spirits of all three boys appear near her. Back in the real world, Finn hears the phone booth ringing again. He answers it and hears the grabber's voice saying, "Hell isn't fire, it's ice. Ice burns deeper than flames." Finn realizes this is the grabber spirit. Meanwhile, Gwen sees the spirits haunting her dream world. The boy from before tries to come through the window, but his killer smashes the glass, slicing the boy's face in half. Terrified, Gwen screams. Finn finds himself trapped in the phone booth, but moments later, the door opens on its own. He rushes back to comfort Gwen, who's crying and believes she's going insane. Finn assures her that was just a nightmare. He takes her to the boy's cottage where she checks her wounds in the mirror, the same ones she got in the dream. They're real. She goes to Ernesto and prays that she won't dream again. Ernesto tells her his mother would be happy to know he's dating someone religious. Gwen says her own mother was deeply religious, but her father wasn't and stopped her from going to church. Her mother also had these dreams, which drove her insane. She fears the same might happen to her. As they get closer emotionally, they almost kiss, but Finn interrupts, reminding them he's right there. The next morning, Finn finds out Gwen told Ernesto about her dreams. Angrily, he says she shouldn't have shared that. She argues that he never listens to her anyway, and she needs someone to talk to. Their argument turns emotional. Then Gwen shows them a cut on her hand, saying it happened in her dream when a boy grabbed her. The same wound is on her real hand. Soon after, Armando calls them for breakfast. He mentions the storm might clear in 2 or 3 days and asks why they came since they're not registered campers or church members. Finn tells him they're here to learn about their mother. When they show him Hope Adler's photo, he recognizes her immediately, calling her Starlight. They tell him she died 7 years ago by taking her own life. Armando leaves for work and Finn asks him about the phone booth outside. He's shocked and says that phone has been dead for years. This confuses Finn. How could it be ringing then? Finn tells Gwen and Ernesto about it, that he heard the grabber's voice on the call. Suddenly, the phone rings again, and this time he hears the voices of the 3 dead boys, asking for his help. They don't remember who they are, only that they're trapped in darkness and cold. Just like in the first film, the spirits can't recall their past, but seek help. Outside, we see the spirits near the booth, unseen by Finn. They beg him to free them, but when he can't help, they start banging on the booth. Panicked, Finn runs away. Meanwhile, Gwen and Ernesto visit Kenneth and Barbara, asking for old camp records, but Barbara rudely says there are none and gets irritated. Ernesto takes Gwen away before it escalates. That night, Gwen dreams again. This time she sees her mother, Hope, talking to a dead child's spirit through the same kind of phone Finn uses now. The boys had left that number in her dream asking for help, the same number belonging to the grabber's house. The boys were trying to show who their killer was. Gwen sees Hope and the spirits again, witnessing how they all died, leaving her terrified. Back in reality, Finn hears the phone ring once more. This time, the grabber's voice taunts him, saying Finn might have killed him, but it's not over. He's back for revenge. He'll make Finn suffer just like he did. The grabber says Finn forced him to kill his brother Max, whom he loved most, and now he'll take everything from Finn.
This moment is intense. Two worlds appear side by side. On one side, Finn in the real world. On the other, the grabber's ghost in the spirit world. Gwen, following a boy's spirit, ends up in the camp kitchen. The stove lights up on its own and the grabber appears, attacking her with an axe. She tries to escape, screaming for help. Ernesto and the others rush in, but can't see the grabber, though they can see Gwen being thrown violently as if by an invisible force. Her body is cut and bruised in real life as the spirit attacks her. The grabber tries to throw her into the fire, but Mustang and Ernesto grab her, pulling her back. Objects start falling around them, creating chaos. Finn arrives, shakes his sister awake, and she finally comes out of the nightmare. When she opens her eyes, the grabber is gone, for now. Everyone gathers in the camp church, where Armando anxiously asks Gwen what exactly is happening. She takes a deep breath and begins to tell them about her dreams. He shows an old photo where both he and Hope were standing in a group picture. He says this place was shut down in 1958, but later he bought it and reopened it to search for the missing children. His goal was to give their families some closure. Every year he kept trying to uncover the truth behind their disappearance. Now, Finn asks everyone about the grabber. Armando replies that everyone knows him, the man who kidnapped and killed children, the same man Finn himself defeated. Then Armando recognizes Finn, realizing who he really is. Finn asks when things started becoming strange there. Armando says it began a few years ago, around 1978, the same year Finn killed the grabber. But even after death, his spirit was still roaming free. They now had to free the children's souls to stop him, because their fear was the source of his power. Gwen and Finn look again at the old group photo and spot the grabber in it. Armando explains that he used to do maintenance work there. He reveals the grabber's real name, Wild Bill Hickok. Gwen realizes that's the same name the boys mentioned. Everything had started with those boys. They were the grabber's first victims. Hope also used to have similar dreams, and through those dreams, the children were trying to communicate with her. The number they showed her in dreams were not random. They led directly to the grabber's basement. The children were guiding Gwen now, explaining everything that happened. Finn says they need to find the boys' bodies, which must be buried inside a frozen lake. Armando mentions a nearby lake called Maru, and they all agree to search there. Later, Armando sits in his cabin studying the boys' photos and reports when he hears strange noises from the radio. He looks out the window and sees a snowman outside. Ignoring it, he continues working, but then hears the grabber's voice on the radio. Calmly, Armando says he knows it's Bill and that he isn't afraid of him. He warns that Bill can't trap those children's souls forever. The grabber growls that he isn't Bill. Armando replies that it doesn't matter. Whether he's Bill, the grabber, or pure evil, evil remains evil. The snowman suddenly hits the window, bleeding snow splattering against it. The grabber threatens to hurt them, but Armando stands firm. The grabber keeps denying he is Bill because he never accepted his human side. Without his mask, he was nothing. He always believed himself to be the devil. Later, Finn sits outside when Armando joins him. Armando tells Finn that he can see the courage in his eyes, but also the fear he's hiding behind his anger, the fear of losing Gwen.
He advises Finn to face his feelings and assures him that Gwen will be fine. The next day, Armando starts searching for the boys' bodies. That night, Gwen goes to sleep. Ernesto and Finn take turns watching over her. Ernesto asks Finn if he really spoke to his brother's spirit and what he said. Finn replies that his brother told him their father never abandoned his men in war, and he wouldn't abandon Finn either. Ernesto smiles proudly and falls asleep sitting beside Gwen. Gwen drifts into another dream where she sees her mother Hope. In the dream, her mother's body begins to move away. Ernesto stops her, but Gwen's spirit continues following her mother. Now the truth unfolds. Hope had once dreamed about Billy the paperboy, the first boy who went missing. In her dream, she walked out of the house, unknowingly reaching the grabber's home. She had seen his cat inside, and when the grabber invited her into his car, she went with him. From the start, Hope had been getting signs of who was behind everything. The numbers the children showed her in dreams were not random. They led directly to the grabber's basement. Now Gwen sees something horrifying, her mother hanging lifeless. But the truth was, the grabber had killed her, not suicide as everyone believed. Hope had discovered his secret, so he silenced her forever. Gwen breaks down, realizing her mother never killed herself because of the dreams. It was all the grabber's doing. The grabber appears and says this place is his hell, and everything happens here on his command. He threatens to kill Gwen too. She runs, injured and terrified, and her wounds appear on her real body. Ernesto wakes Finn and Mustang, telling them Gwen is in danger. They try to wake her up as she reaches the basement in her dream. The spirits of the children guide her through a phone, helping her escape. She hides near the same pit Finn had once dug in 1978. Gwen escapes through a refrigerator passage and reaches the frozen lake, where a phone booth stands. The phone rings, and she answers it. Meanwhile, in real life, Armando is searching the lake and finds one of the boys' frozen bodies. As he tries to pull it out, the grabber attacks him through the spirit world, breaking the ice and dragging him underwater. In the spirit world, Gwen feels his pain. The grabber hits her violently, but Mustang and Finn shout for her to wake up and fight. Inside the phone booth, Gwen steadies herself, takes a deep breath, and suddenly unleashes her power. The booth explodes with energy, throwing the grabber away. She tells him she wasn't brought here. She came on her own. She has power too, and unlike him, she can return to the real world whenever she wants. She strikes the grabber hard on the head, knocking him unconscious, and wakes up in the real world. She rushes to save Armando, who is being pulled into the lake, and they drag him out alive. He tells them he found Felix's body. The next morning, Mustang confronts Barbara and Kenneth, telling them refusing to help won't please God. She reminds them that Gwen saved Armando, so they should at least stand by her side.
Just before sunrise, Gwen and Finn prepare for their final battle. But their father, Terrence, arrives, insisting they go home. Finn agrees, but Gwen refuses. She says if it all started here, it must end here. Finn argues, afraid to lose her. Gwen accuses him of hiding behind smoking to forget what happened in that basement. Finn finally breaks down, admitting his fear, exactly what Armando told him to face. Their father says these dreams drove their mother insane, leading to her death. But Gwen tells him the truth. It was the grabber who killed her, not madness. Terrence finally accepts his guilt and realizes it was never his fault. Gwen's words mirror what Hope once said before dying, convincing him that Gwen's dreams were real, just like her mother's. At dawn, the search continues, but they can't find Cal and Spike's bodies. Gwen prays to Jesus, asking for strength and protection. Exhausted, she falls asleep again and slips into the dream world, returning to the lake. There, she finds 2 metal drums. Inside them are Cal and Spike's bodies. As she tries to push them to the surface, the grabber appears again. He removes half of his mask, revealing his rotten, decayed face, and attacks everyone outside. He brutally beats Barbara and Kenneth, then turns toward Finn, saying it's his turn now. In their first encounter, Finn had defeated him, but now, as a spirit, the grabber was stronger. Meanwhile, Gwen's spirit continues lifting the drums, and her father pulls them from the water in the real world. Whatever happened to her spirit reflected on her real body. When she entered the lake, her body became soaking wet. The grabber attacks Finn, trying to choke him. Finn can't see him clearly, but senses his presence and strikes back, throwing him away. In the spirit world, the grabber tells Gwen there's no God and no one can help her. She says she's not alone and calls for help. Suddenly, the spirits of Cow, Felix, and Spike appear. Gwen tells the grabber their bodies have been found. Now he has no power. She swings an axe, shattering his mask and tearing off his decaying skin with it. The grabber screams in agony. Finn joins in, smashing his head against the frozen lake, shouting that he's no longer afraid. Together, they throw him into the lake. Gwen's spirit cuts off his leg, and the children's spirits drag him beneath the ice. The grabber freezes there, still clutching his mask. He couldn't exist without it. Gwen wakes up, kisses Ernesto with relief and happiness, knowing it's finally over. The next day, Armando reports the discovered bodies to the authorities. As everyone prepares to leave, Gwen and Finn hear a phone ringing. Gwen answers it. It's her mother, Hope. Hope tells her she's proud of her and that she did a wonderful job. Gwen gets emotional, saying she misses her. Hope replies she misses her too, but is happy in the afterlife. Gwen asks if this curse of dreams will ever end. Hope gently says it was never a curse. It's a gift meant to help others. She asks Gwen to tell Finn that she loves him and that Robin said hello. Gwen smiles through tears and tells Finn what her mother said. Finn feels peace and warmth hearing it. Everyone leaves for home, and the story ends. And that's how The Black Phone 2 concludes, a powerful, emotional, and terrifying sequel filled with mystery and redemption.